Hola. So it's around 1900. All right. We hitting the streets, dog. We hitting the urban area. Things are, um, you know, things are rough, man. They rough out there. No job, ain't shit to do. So what happened was, look, check this out. Do your history on it. Guys were running numbers, gambling. Lottery games, um, pimping and pandering, alcohol, and like marijuana and like cocaine and shit. Now look, check this out. None of this was illegal. What happened was some of this will be theory, and it's a series of facts. Because if you'll notice, if you go read these facts, each of them's got these narratives trying to be created and sway your ideas of how you feel about something. But anyways, so they look. They own this. They get good at it, man. I mean, over years of not having a job, like you gotta do something, and you know that everybody likes to do their thing, and they like women, so they get good at it. So if you was to, so eventually, like truth be told, man, there already been this taboo problem with white women, you know, enjoying that side of life too, and of course to get rid of that and to stop that, they got rid of the black men that did it. So they created laws and locked them up. Okay? All of these things, all of them. That's how. That's how it's so disproportionate because the laws. And so I'm gonna dispel some further fucking theories. It's very simple, bro. How you start locking up a bunch of type of persons. You look at that crowd and you wonder what they commonly do that might be questionable or that you disagree with, and then you implicate rules on them. That's what you do. It's simple. Don't get into facts. Get into how you get there. What would you do? The theory, the method, the philosophy. So, why are African Americans so disproportionately locked up? It's very simple. Why are African Americans killing each other more often? So if you concentrate them in an area, and you don't give them anything, what do you think is going to happen? Compiled with you concentrate them in an area, you don't give them anything, you don't give them education, you don't give them the jobs, you didn't do anything. Oh, and now they're still thriving and living. So you enforce laws on things that they're good at. And that there alone makes things very, very, very hard. So you're fighting amongst each other just for the scraps that you've got. And laws are being inflicted upon you. And what you're given requires the only means that you can get, the way you can build your empire is to essentially exploit the people around you. Because the game doesn't allow you to exploit everybody else. That's facts. So that's how a prison system rises. And that's how it gets disproportionate. But, and that same thing goes for you, Mike. Like, I couldn't rationalize you being locked up this long. But, very simply put, but this is something else you need to keep in mind. So since the early 1900s, whenever this first started, because the riots first happened at a certain time, racism uprising has happened on a consistent pattern every single time. And it's been for political reasons. The politics has exploited this racial uprising. Like if you do your history on the Civil War, the North and the South, and you get into it, like you'll really realize that like the South wasn't like racist and the North wasn't. That's actually, if you really get into the history, you'll figure out that's actually nonsensical to even think that that's possible. It really becomes that. But I'm not here to disprove that right now. I can do it another time. Anybody wants to debate that shit. Um, so politics started exploiting it. So they would create hysteria every time. See, we're in a bipartisan government, so every time that the sides couldn't come to a common agreement, they were split in the middle, and that's not what you want. Bipartisan, the idea is to some Republicans will disagree with each other, some Democrats will disagree with each other, and we'll get an average. Versus Republicans and Democrats. So anytime there is Republicans versus Democrats, you get the racial issue, and that's how you got it created with Abraham Lincoln. It's very simple. The Republicans and Democrats couldn't come to eye to eye, so they martyred him. Anyways, that name started, that word started getting used, and it started looking flagrant because the media put it in their heads, and that's who was taking their job, was on the fringe, and at the very bottom it was white people. But politics turned it around, started using it against to oppose one another, and so we constantly have these regurgitations of racism, and at the essence, we know it's not racism. It's actually a class issue, because the low-class white guys fight with the with the African Americans, and we're fighting amongst each other. Whenever we're both mad at the system, it takes a long time. But due to tragedies and turmoil, every time racism kind of dissipates, the racist uprising, due to fucking we just don't want to get back into it. It's forgotten about, not used until the next time. And every time a racist uprising happens, a feminist uprising happens. It's directly same time, every time. And all the wars and attacks, pay attention, all happened around September, in the election year. So that's very simple. It's very simple. Systematically, it's like if you look at it like that, that's obviously what happened. Because being theoretically correct, or theoretically this could be correct, what theoretically means is there's more than one theory, and your theory amongst idiots will work. But if you were to pay attention and closely examine what's really happened, your theory is nonsense. So yeah, you realize that this has been systematically controlled by the rich people the whole time, because they're exploiting our need for survival. And we're at the point now where we're really just complaining about shit, but racism's still exploiting that, and that's controlled by the people at the top. It gets there's never been a time where you can't disprove this. It's always happening around them. All these changes come through election time. It's all been politics based. But African Americans have been getting shit on. They've look, dude. Through philosophy, history, science, math, everything you can think of has been stolen from Africa. And it's proof. There's proof on it. But because our system is built on white people, I'm not going to call it, I know the real people. It's really Jewish people, who wrote the religion, both religions, Jews, who philosophy, Greeks, all them, Homer, all them, Plato, Aristotle, Jews, everything. And the Jews knew, they mixed with everybody because they knew that owning land was up for subject for the, you could conquer and move territories, and that's what it took. So owning, it was very arbitrary, so they knew to capitalize on what was real and in front of them, and they got good at it. So, yeah, scholarship, school, anything SCH, university is Greek. So anything, you'll realize that religion and society, politics and religion don't discuss it. Well, that's because they coincide. They're trying to separate them, and it's from the same people. They've created the game. They are the enemy and the good guy. Like they will defend you, and that will be the people you're fighting against. So once you look through history, you'll see kind of that. But it's not to dismiss the racist issues that's going on, but the direction of hatred really needs to be pointed elsewhere. And it's very, like, Hippocrates is the father of medicine, okay? 2,000 years before that, Imhotep was the father of medicine. And, you know, you've got Moses, Noah, Jesus, and all these, Socrates, Plato, Iliad, Homer. Look, they all went to school, preschool and school for everything they wanted to go to in Egypt. All of them. Greek history came from Egypt. Greek standards came. Greeks weren't Greeks. Came from Egypt. So it all started in Africa, but they switched that story around to make it seem like they started it. So, you take that for what you want. Try to disprove it, because if you start going, then you got to get into African history, and that doesn't include white people that much. And their history started in Central Africa, or Central East Africa, Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria, showing it was like discovered in 1860. Are you joking me? Lake Victoria, like Queen Victoria. Yeah. She killed so many Africans, it wasn't funny. But that's actually the original place where they come from, along the Nile, the beginning of the Nile. So there's the Blue Nile and there's the White Nile. It ends in Ethiopia and starts in Sudan, not Sudan, but the Congo area. And the Nile runs from south to north, but it becomes Khartoum in Sudan. So there's these three places, and their history starts down there, my people. The original name of the lake, Wanza Nyanza. Wanza Nyanza is the lake. So history actually goes north. So by the time they even got to Egypt, Egypt was getting information on how to run their politics from the south. Like, that's how old their history is, okay? And then we all got it from them, but they didn't believe in conquering people like the Europeans did. And I can actually, through science, evolutionary science, you can easily. So there's really no such thing as race, but we're dealing with this thing called race because it has been created, but it's really like a creation of man, and not a creation of nature. So, man is a creation of nature, but that doesn't mean what man creates is nature. So, through a scientific roundabout way, it's easily explained. So, I'll give that to you as well. Anyways, this is how we are where we are, man. I put it simply in a metaphor, and I'll end it like this. There's cats running, little house cats running wild all through your neighborhood, okay? And they live off mice and rodents, or maybe a nice person might give them some food. But I can tell you this. We're all pretty natural about surviving on our own. We've got survival instincts. But if you put two cats in a pillowcase, they're gonna fight to the death.